All right, everyone. This is COVID and Cigarettes, the interview diaries, and we are here with playwright of Joseon Hong Kong, Candice Moore. Candice is an experienced actor and director, originally from Edinburgh, Scotland, and she has been very acting with the writing this year. So, Candice, welcome. How are you?
I'm very well, Nicole, and good to see you, and lovely to be on your show on the interview. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us tonight. So, tell us, like, you've been so active and so busy this year writing. You wrote for a lot of different companies. You were involved in different projects. So let's chat about it. How did it all start?
Great. Well, the reason, to be honest, being involved in theatre for so long and performing and directing and producing, I hadn't really done a lot of writing, but I'd always thought about it and wanted to do it, but never got round to it, or sat down in front of a computer with a blank screen, and pretty much that's how it stayed. So I didn't make that much progress over the years when I was thinking about it. But so it's been something long in the planning, shall we say, but with, the situation with COVID-19 hitting us this year, I thought, well, there's no excuse not to write. And I had a period in quarantine earlier in the year as well. So I thought I'm going to use the time well and productively. And I saw a couple of notices that were looking for monologues. I thought, well, that's a great way to start, you know, as to do something original, is to do a monologue or a fairly shortish piece. So that really piqued my interest and really inspired me to sit down and actually write. Once I got the idea and the guidelines for certain projects, I thought, well, yeah, great, let's do it. You know, I felt quite inspired to do it.
So tell us about, like, let's talk about COVID and cigarettes. Let's talk about Joseon Hong Kong. So Joseon Hong Kong was directed by Isabella So and had Neil Runciman in it. You and Neil have worked together before?
Actually, I know Neil because he lived in Hong Kong for quite a long time. So our paths had crossed a couple of times through theatre productions. I'd seen him in shows, met him at after show drinks, you know, what it's like. We're a very sociable bunch in Hong Kong. Well, not just in Hong Kong, but, you know, after show party. So I'd met him a few times. I think he auditioned for a production I was doing as well. So we knew each other that way. And he also knows my wife, Jacqueline, as well. So yes, our paths have certainly crossed. I knew who he was and seen him perform and thought it's an interesting guy, a clever guy. It was always fun to meet him and run into him and have a chat. So that was my dealing with Neil, but before this project.
And so you worked with them for the first time.
Yes.
How was it? How involved were you in the process? Because, like, when I first thought about the project in my head, I was like, I would like to have something that we don't do, which is like having the directors working with the playwrights and the team.
Yeah.
But of course, like, there were some playwrights who said, like, yeah, I want to be involved, so please count me in. And others said, actually, I'm working with other projects, so let's see how it goes, but I'll let the team in charge. So how did it work out for you?
Yeah, it worked out really well because, as you know, I direct and act. So when you do those two things, you're quite different in those roles. So once I'd written it and sent it to yourself and to Isabella, who directed it, I was actually, I felt not relieved, I'm very happy to hand it over or deliver it to someone else as well. So you sort of sit back for a minute and think, hey, this is great. You know, I've written it, really, you know, interested to see what they do with it and how they interpret it. And that's interesting too as a writer. When Isabella and I first spoke on Zoom, her take on it, her ideas, it's great because it really opens it up. And so she would have an insight into it that I maybe hadn't thought of, and vice versa. So the initial discussion with her was really exciting because I thought, what does someone else make of it? Because, you know, it's your baby as such when you're writing it and creating it, but then you give it to somebody else, it's open for interpretation. And as a director, you have those instincts as well, where you sort of oh yeah, I'll be really involved in rehearsals, then I actually thought I don't need to be. And so I was involved in a couple of meetings, a couple of Zoom chats, but it was also really nice then to just say, yeah, great, you know, it'll be created by director and the actor with a little bit of input from me, but not too much. And that felt good. But it's interesting with the directing instinct is there. But then you realize, actually you redirect it and you think, well, it's someone else's role to direct the piece and to perform the piece. So we had a couple of Zoom meetings, a couple of chats where Neil and Isabella were asking questions, a lot of questions about the script and the character, which was great. But then as a writer, I was very happy for them to run with it and interpret it how they wanted to. Yeah.
And what inspired? I mean, obviously, like it's a lot going on out there, but I'll ask you anyway. What inspired you to write it? Like, was there anything particular that inspired you to write this piece, or anyone in particular?
Yeah, I think you're the title "COVID and Cigarettes." I liked. I know for you it's a series, isn't it? You've done a couple of other series under that banner, and I thought COVID and cigarettes. The first thing I thought was humor. Even though it's not always that humorous a situation.
You but
I thought,
in it.
yeah, but the title attracted me because I've been watching a lot of things performed and produced in lockdown, you know, like National Theatre of Scotland have done a lot, various companies have done a lot of things in lockdown. And some of the pieces for me work, some do, some don't so much. But what I really like is the humor. So the pieces that work for me are the ones that are sort of have a bit of humor in it, as well as making some salient points about the current situation with the virus. So I thought, great. And then COVID and cigarettes, I literally was thinking, I thought talk show host, maybe an interviewer, and I had an idea of the character. It took a few different forms. Then I literally entered into a search term, COVID cigarettes, Piers Morgan. And, yeah, as you do, but 3 things I never thought I'd type in a search engine together. I thought, let's just see what comes up. So I was thinking abrasive interviewer who maybe divides people's opinions. I thought, well, Piers Morgan's that kind of presenter, journalist. And up came the information about, well, what I based the piece on was that for a while in France, they thought that smoking or nicotine could stop you getting the virus. I thought, that's mad. But actually it had a bit of credence for a while. They ran with it and it was in the news, and it stemmed from the artist David Hockney, who's a heavy smoker. And he's 80 something now. So, you know, he's living a long life. So he was, you know, a proponent of this, that nicotine will stop you getting the virus. And that was in the news for a few months, or maybe a bit longer. And I thought, well, this is great, because I thought for me, it met the criteria of what I was thinking. I thought, well, I have to put this into words, you know, and actually, and unbelievably in France at the time, they had to issue a warning telling the public not to buy cigarettes because they thought people would buy packets of cigarettes to combat the virus. I'm sure some did, but yeah, so that's what inspired me, was to do something quite literal but funny with it as well. But certainly I used to smoke, actually, a long time ago. I don't know if I ever thought it protected me from anything.
There was
but
like
who knew?
We went through phases with the COVID. There was a time where they thought that cigarettes could protect you. Then there was a time where they thought hydroxychloroquine could protect you.
Was that? Yeah, that was Trump, right? Wasn't it Trump?
Yeah, that was Trump.
That was
Trump. Bolsonaro.
Yes.
And somebody else. I'm pretty sure Giuliani followed. Rudolph Giuliani followed.
Yes. Before his hair dye ran, or his makeup ran. That's right. So to me, I found it quite astonishing that theory of the nicotine and those other theories were actually put out there by so-called, you know, authority figures, so to speak, and that for a while it was given a bit of traction. If you know, smoke cigarettes or nicotine, that you'll be protected from the virus. I mean, I certainly wouldn't go so far as to take up smoking again. stop getting, and actually hopefully the vaccine hopefully will come out quite soon, but I'm pretty sure there's no nicotine in the vaccine. We should check though with the, we should check with the medical experts,
for
right?
that matter.
I hope not. I hope not. That'd be a worry, wouldn't it? Yeah. But it's such a good topic to write on. And I remember telling actually a few people about it, and sort of saying humor, and they're sort of like, humor, COVID? I'm like, well, you know, you do need to laugh at it, or not at it, but, you know, certain circumstances call for satirical humor.
Exactly. It's quite tragic, but is everything a tragedy? You can have a laugh about a few things, I think. And
Yeah.
what you guys, and for you guys, I mean playwrights, what you guys did was you found the drama, the irony, you know, the elements that needed to be there, and you took them and you really like elevated it, made it pop.
Yeah, that's great, because I mean, I suppose actually it needs to be relatable, because, and the thing is, it is such a sort of serious time and lockdown, and you know, all the different things that are happening, and a lot of that is, of course, isn't funny. But I think that's, I mean, a lot of the time that's what people do bond over or can relate to is, you know, in a serious situation, you can always see the funny side. You know, you can laugh at very serious things, you know, and hopefully it gives you a different insight into it as well. Without thinking it's all doom and gloom. There's humor there, because I mean all the pieces in the series are very different, you know, different. And that's so great to see how differently people respond to it, whether it's writers, actors, directors, or anybody, how people perceive it and interpret it.
Yes, we had like quite a few comedic pieces as well, like was plus like others out there. And those dramatics, like those dramatic ones, were not like terribly heavy, you know. It's not that.
No.
You think they gave you something to think about, which was great.
Yeah, they did. I mean, they all took sort of different approaches. So I think you're right. It makes you think about it differently. And it's good to do that, to shine a light on it in the spotlight, in different ways. And that's how we understand issues like that, or think about them differently. You know, might make you consider it in a way you didn't before. And plus, you know, it's a catchy title, isn't it? COVID and cigarettes.
I needed like a third volume of like CNC.
Yes.
I kind of want to do something like that again, like coffee and cigarettes, or champagne and cigarettes.
Yes, it was coffee and cigarettes was the first one, right? Coffee and cigarettes, that was the first. Well, who knows what's going to happen next year? You know, what else will come up? And I mean, there's been so much going on, especially in Hong Kong, as well as around the world. There's plenty of material, I think.
Yes. Hong Kong is strange because like it's really ahead of the waves. Like, for example, Europe is facing the third.
Yes. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Here we are like in full swing of the fourth wave, so fourth wave full swing, but for the vaccine, we're probably like 6 months behind everyone else.
I know. I was talking about that earlier today, it's strange, isn't it, to think about that, but again, when you also with the fourth wave, when you look at the number of cases at the moment in Hong Kong, I mean, I know it's higher, but compare it to other parts of the world, it's still, I would say, it's still fairly contained, and under control. I mean, it's I don't know what the number of cases is now. Is it approaching 7,000 in Hong Kong? Is that right? I think that's something like that. But when you compare it to the UK, you know, how many hundreds of thousands of cases a day, although obviously it's a bigger place, but still, I think Hong Kong acted, well, pretty decisively. Then again, at the beginning of the year, a lot of people here were wearing masks that was never really a big issue.
No.
I think that made a big difference.
Exactly. At the moment the virus news spread, mask on, that was it.
Yes. And I remember, because I mean, I guess it's a reaction about what happened with SARS 17 years ago. But I remember first thing, wow, say that again.
Were you here at that time?
I wasn't. I mean, I'd lived in Hong Kong off and on since 1987, but I was due to come back. I was in the UK. I was living in Edinburgh, back in Edinburgh. And I was meant to be coming over that Easter. And of course, then it was SARS hit. So my flight was cancelled. And I ended up coming back in the summer. So I wasn't here for it. But obviously I heard a lot about it. But no, I wasn't actually here. Because British Airways cancelled the flight.
Of course.
So, yeah. But my parents were here. They were living here. And obviously Jacqueline, my wife, was here during it as well. That's right. So I think after that memory of that, what the effects of SARS, and people here were very quick to react.
Yeah.
In the news. Yeah.
Yes, they know what they need to do. They're so prepared. But I'm asking,
yes,
practice good hygiene. Don't touch anything.
Yes. Yep. Wash your hands.
Use sanitizer. Wash hands.
Yeah.
And stay away from people if you can, or avoid certain situations.
Yes.
It's actually sensible. You don't need Dr. Fauci to tell you that,
No, you don't. You don't.
It's called common sense.
In fact, I've got an Apple Watch, right? And even my watch has a hand washing timer.
Oh.
But I know, right? I know. So actually, I've noticed. So I do wash my hands for 20 seconds because it actually times me, and I get a telling off.
All right. So it buzzes.
So even Apple's on it.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
Apple, Facebook, Instagram, they go like,
yes.
I receive so many notifications because of all the posts about cigarettes on Instagram. For COVID-19 updates, please check.
Wow, it's a lot. Yeah, and Facebook have a special COVID-19 information center as well that sends out updates and things like that. So so we're certainly well informed.
Yes,
things.
Certainly. But let me ask you another question about Joseon Hong Kong.
Yes.
I like the title, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, well, actually, I know it's quite a cheery title.
Yes.
Yeah, and I had a few ideas for titles. One of the, in fact, I thought if it's a morning show, actually the morning show, that's another good show on Apple TV that I recently was watching. I'd actually thought of Good Morning Hong Kong, but that's taken because there's a musical called that was,
you're right.
I'm sure you're familiar. So I thought I won't call it that. And I just thought, Joseon Hong Kong, it's kind of cheery. A cheery, bright title about a really cheery subject. Yeah. But it's kind of catchy as well. And I think Isabella and Neil, because they, again, as well as the acting and the directing of it, also created a lot of the visuals for it, and the packaging, and which I thought was great, really added to it. Yeah.
Isabella definitely had an knack for editing and for the little so she had a lot of creativity with that, which I thought it was such fun thing to do.
I agree, and I think it's Neil has a green screen in his home in Switzerland, right? So again, when they created all the backdrops and all the visuals, that just really brought it to life even more, just enhanced the experience. So we could really be there with him as he presented the show.
Yes. Excellent. And when you watched the final cut, the premiere, how did you feel about it?
I felt great.
Did you know?
I knew a bit about, what they'd done with it.
Yeah,
I didn't know that much because we had a WhatsApp group, the three of us. So I saw the pictures for the the patches and the title, but that was it. And then actually Isabella told me she purposely didn't really tell me anymore. She wanted to keep it a surprise, which was really good. So I felt excited sitting down to watch it, and not a bit nervous, but just because you always do when it's something you've either taken part in. But I was really excited to watch it and thought I got a great, not a surprise, but it was, I thought they did such a great job with it. And I really enjoyed watching it. I did.
Great.
And just, it was nice to sit back and watch and see what they'd done. And it was very creative.
It's such a great feeling, isn't it?
It is.
This looks great. and
Yeah.
how to have a headache about it.
Exactly. Because funnily, they say be careful what you wish for. Because obviously we're usually very, run off our feet, directing, acting, and doing other work like voiceover work for me and other bits and pieces. So you're right to they've just written it, which still takes, as you know, a lot of work, but really nice to just be on the other side of things for a change. And just see how other people interpret what you've written, because you have an idea how you might do it, but I just didn't think like that at all for this. I didn't at all think they should do it like this. Not at all. So I got a really nice surprise when I watched it. In fact, all of them, but I was impressed.
That's lovely. And did you watch the whole lot? Did you watch the whole playlist?
We did. We watched them at different times. We didn't watch them all in one go, but watched most of them. I think we have watched them all now. But that's a really nice thing about this collection, is you can dip in and out when you've got the time, So that's really, really good to be able to do that. And it was really, and also nice chatting to people about it, which ones they liked. And most people, enjoyed them all, but people have, different ideas on what they like as well, what appeals. So yeah, it was really good to watch them all. Yeah.
Nice. Well, we still have like about 3 weeks.
Yes, so, that's right.
Yes. So.
And how's it going? How's the views? The views going? Is it going up?
Yeah. The views have been very, very, very consistent.
Okay, good.
Because before I used to check it every day, more with the urgency and stuff. Now I kind of relaxed a little bit. So I check every 2, maybe 3 days.
Yes.
But every time I check, the numbers go up.
That's great. It's great. It's like when you check, when you're doing a show, you check the box office or check the ticket sales, which you'd kind of just do. But that's really good, because I've looked in as well and saw that a lot of them have quite a lot of number of views, which is great. So people are interested and want to. I guess the other thing which is so good about it is how you can still be creative when you can't do stuff live, when you can't do it on stage. It's like bridging that gap between live theatre and it's film, but it's not quite film, is it? But it's finding that in between ground so you can still make work, which I think is really good. You just have to be inventive and roll with it.
Exactly. Plus, we didn't have the geographical issue. There was no geographical barrier, so we got to work with people from all over. And I think when you submitted, you were in England.
That's right. I think I was in Edinburgh. I think I was in
Sorry,
Scotland.
not in England.
No,
in the UK.
Right. No, you're right. But you're right. I was in the UK. Yeah.
Yes. So I even I think you were there for a while. In fact, when I picked it and everything, I think you were still there. And in fact, I thought probably we might work with her. She's in the UK and we're here. So we might just work.
That's right.
Well, but
the time difference isn't too big a deal, really, because actually I remember the day I arrived, I went to the UK, it was end of August, and I'd written something else for another group, and it was on that. I literally arrived at my parents' place, all jet lagged, and we just tuned in to watch this other piece. It was the Hong Kong Players, which I wrote something for them. And the fact that you could watch it live, but then also you can kind of watch it whenever you feel like it. But you're right, the time zone doesn't really make too much of a difference when it's online. And actually I ended up coming back when I got back a bit sooner than I'd originally planned, and got so much more done in quarantine as well. So I was stuck in quarantine obviously for 2 weeks. So, and if you make good use of your time, I actually got quite a lot done in that space of time as well, with some other writing things. And but you're right, being in the UK didn't really make any difference.
No.
In terms of, which is great. It's not like you can schedule a rehearsal online, which Isabella did with Neil, because he was in Europe. So normally it was late night Hong Kong time or afternoon Europe. So it worked out fine for them and for me when I occasionally joined them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that is quite something different. We're not really used to it because, like, when we do a show, it's just like,
Yeah.
we check on the ticket sales, of course. Like,
Yeah.
we check like
Yes.
relentlessly, like
Yes.
every 2-3 hours. Okay, what's now? What's the box office now? But
I know. Yeah.
we're gambling our money. you know,
I know.
we
I
have
know.
responsibilities. We have financial responsibilities.
Yeah.
We have,
Yeah.
the ethical responsibility of bringing
Yeah.
people to the stage, to the audience,
Yeah.
so that our actors will perform in front of a full audience. Of course, everybody.
Of course. Exactly.
So we have like this
Yeah.
stress that in our hands that we can get rid of it, not when there is so
Yeah.
much at stake. But
Yeah.
here, like, it's online.
Mm-hmm.
There's no financial burden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Views, they don't come now. We can still give it a little
That's
push.
right. Yeah.
Share the word more, spread the word more,
Of
and get
course.
people to watch. So eventually, it does come. But
Yeah, that's right. And you can, and usually in Hong Kong when we're doing a show on live, you're restricted by how long the show runs. Normally it's a week. That's a typical booking. So you might do what,
exactly.
5 performances, maybe 6. Whereas with,
Yeah.
I guess, putting it online, as you say, it can be available for much longer, or as long as you like,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
For people to watch, which is even better. So there's no time limit,
Exactly.
I guess, on how long it's available, unless you choose to set a limit. Although interestingly, I think this year the pantomime in Hong Kong is online. In fact, it goes online tonight, I think. And that's available, I think, for 4 nights to watch.
Okay.
I believe, if you buy a ticket. So many. I mean, I guess with this is you have the decision for how long you want to run a show. You're not necessarily restricted by a venue telling you can only do it for, or you can only lease the theatre for a week or whatever. You can put your piece of work online for as long as you want.
Exactly. You have very few restrictions.
Yeah.
The restriction,
exactly.
the restriction that you have is probably copyright related.
Yes.
But you work out with the team, because some of the playwrights are like, have it on for as long as you want, and some said, actually, I'm getting published. The rights no longer belong to me; they belong to the agency.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, of course. So then, that changes things a bit.
That changes. But you can work it out. It's much more open to work it out.
Yeah.
If it says no, then okay, no problem. But if one wants to, absolutely.
That's right. So our pieces are up till, is it January? Is that right, or is it the end of December? Did you say
January the 7th? So
great.
From next week, I'm gonna give a little kick to like channels, emails, and stuff like, watch it.
Of course, I'll do the same. Put it on all our social media pages, get our friends to watch and beyond. But I mean, it's really nice to have done it. And actually, well, as you know, I'm writing something else at the moment, adapting A Christmas Carol, as you know, which again it's just really nice to think differently about work and what you can do and how you can do it.
Yes.
It forces you to think differently. If you still want to create something and do a performance of sorts, you can still do it. It's just not the same, but it's a new normal for now.
But it does happen, and it's got some good sides. It's got some good.
Yeah, that's right. And it's, as you say, less stressful, do we think, than when we do a live theatre performance? I guess it is. I mean, there's still a lot of organising that goes into this.
It's a lot of work.
Of course.
It's a lot of organisation, but it's definitely less stressful. Definitely.
Yeah, and obviously the technical side's important too. That's a challenge. Well, but you're right. It's probably a bit less stressful than.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, financial, you don't have any burden, and geographically, you're not restricted.
Yeah. And now that theatres have just closed again in Hong Kong, we can keep doing online work for the foreseeable future. Yeah, I think that was announced today. Is it today or yesterday?
Yesterday. No,
yesterday, right?
Today it starts. Sorry, it started today. Sorry, yesterday was like the last day where we could have dinner until 10 p.m.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So we can do anyway. Never mind. We adapt. That's what we do.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about, I mean, it's not a new topic. Let's talk about
Yeah.
COVID-19. We have already
Yes.
talked about it, but
Yeah.
what your like how did your plans change this year because of COVID?
Well, I mean, I guess the main impact was traveling,
Right.
because I mean, my parents, who they live in Edinburgh, and Jacqueline's family live in England.
Mm,
So we normally, well, with my parents as well, because they're retired, we would normally see them 3 or 4 times a year. And
mm,
of course, they're getting a bit older, and there's some health issues there. So, it's really made me appreciate those times, because now we haven't really gone anywhere. And I did make a trip in August to the UK, because again, it's a health related issue, to see my parents. And actually, for the first time as well, I felt quite nervous about traveling, which I never used to. So, even getting on a plane, it was in August. I was quite, anxious about what it'd be like on the flight and precautions. So yeah, so things like it made me more anxious about traveling. And the journey was fine, but it's just very, very different. And flying back to Hong Kong as well. I mean, Heathrow was deserted. I think there was maybe 20 or 30 people on the flight coming back. So, but in a way, you thought, oh, all the space. But actually, the reason for it isn't such a great reason. So I guess it's the restrictions, really. And just when not that you relax, but even things like if you find out, for example, I was doing a project, one of the guys thought he might have it, because he didn't in the end. He had a test, it was fine. But again, then you just realize, gosh, it makes you think about who you're coming into contact with and who they might have come into contact with. And you think you're sort of being paranoid, because normally you don't think twice about who you meet up with, and so it makes you think about things like that as well. So in terms of the travel's been the biggest thing, I think, and even the quarantining as well. And just now the thought, because new measures have come into place now with Hong Kong. So if you were to go overseas and come back, you now have no choice, I think, over where you quarantine. I think, is that right? I think you're taken off to a hotel and you don't get to choose. You think, oh God, so
You're locked in a hotel room.
Yeah, that's right.
And you need to be there for 2 weeks. However,
Yes.
now they were talking, I don't know whether that's going to happen or not, but they were talking about extending the quarantine to 3 weeks instead of 2. So
Wow.
2 weeks in a hotel, 1 week at home.
Right. God, and I don't know if is that going to happen. I don't know, but I know.
They
So
talked about it, but maybe not.
yeah. So that, yeah, and you kind of relax, and occasionally as well, wearing masks, which we've been doing since early in the year, and occasionally you just sort of look around and think, God, look at us all. And I mean, it's sensible, but and even things, if you spot somebody without a mask, you sort of think, oh my God, get away from me. Which again is, you do what I do. Maybe it's just me. I don't say it out loud. I don't say get away from me. But you do, it makes you more cautious. But the other thing as well, though, is the way the rules are applied. So there's certain restrictions in Hong Kong, for example, but then you go in the MTR and it's absolutely packed.
I know.
And you think, what's the sense in that then? Only 2 people at a time outside, or at a restaurant. Schools are shut again. But yet the MTR, it's packed like sardines.
The MTR is packed like sardines.
Yeah.
Back in the days, at the beginning of the year, they were blocking the seats, so you could see, like, don't sit.
Yes, that's right.
They were leaving some space in between. Now,
no. So so things like that makes you wonder.
That shopping malls.
Yes, that's right.
Packed.
Yes.
I'm like, why can't I go to a restaurant? But then, like, the MTR is packed and the shopping mall is packed.
Yeah, exactly. The shopping mall. I know. And things like eating out as well, which we can still do in Hong Kong, but I guess as of now it's only up until 6 p.m, isn't it? But, and also I guess what struck me though is, in a way, maybe it's a Hong Kong thing, is how, well, most people comply with it, you know? It works very efficiently. Whereas in, you know, other parts of the world, you've got, you know, protests about masks, vaccine, you know, that kind of behavior. And you think, God, whereas here, relatively speaking, people are pretty much acting quite quickly. And there's been no problems there. But it's just an odd state of affairs, you know, mentally, to be in this sort of situation where certain basic things are restricted. You know, and then again, work. I mean, luckily for me, because I do voiceover work, it actually hasn't stopped. Touch wood. It's been pretty steady the whole year, so I'm very fortunate that that's been the case, and that I can work at home if I need to. So, but again, yeah, it's like your world, if you like, shrinks. You know, what you can do, your activities, socializing, it goes up and down, you know, when you're being told only 4 people for dinner, 2, 6, whatever it is. Things like going to the cinema, which we do a lot, again, you can't now. And in a way, how quickly we adapt to it and accept it as well. So it's, and how has it been for you, Nicole?
Well, I mean, like, my world shrunk, definitely, but like, you was fortunate because my line of work carried on, and I was very lucky, and I could do some of it at home, online. It's not ideal for what I do, which is drama coaching for adults and children. Not ideal, but I managed to do a lot of it. So I'm also a university lecturer that went ahead. Thank goodness. So it shrunk. It shrunk, but it didn't stop.
But exactly, because I know friends of mine who have had work stop, especially if they're working with schools and education, and but a lot of it can go online, but some doesn't. So people have lost out. So I'm grateful that the voiceover work is still going. And I can still go to the jobs, and actually it's amazing how quickly the studios adapted as well. So I remember walking into one job, actually that's the other thing, and it was like walking into an experiment. I remember knocking on the door, they opened the studio door, and they were literally in hazmat suits almost.
Wow.
And I had no idea it was going to be like this. So I had a mask, obviously, and they literally brought me in and told me to spray my shoes, my clothes. I mean, it was a bit extreme. And I remember being a bit freaked out, going, oh, well, you could have told me ahead of time this was going to be the greeting, like, hey, and then get in the door, shh, you know. So that was a bit of a shock. But they were just
the alcohol doesn't stain my clothes, then it's fine.
No, it didn't. It was on my shoes, so I could just take them off if you want. But they were just being very, very cautious. So I have to remember that. But it was like, oh, paranoid, but actually, no. You can't be too careful, I guess.
You can't be too careful, especially like in your case, you were in the UK with the older parents, senior
That's right.
parents.
That's right.
So that's another thing. Like, they're more vulnerable. That's a vulnerable age.
Yes, you're right. I was pleased though that walking around Edinburgh that people were wearing masks, and in the shops they were wearing them, and that was the rules anyway. They had to wear it everywhere indoors, and people were doing it. So that was quite encouraging. And plus also think about my parents who are out and about, that they'll, you know, be a bit, although right now I think they're in tier 3 lockdown. So I mean, they've got different tiers in the UK. So for my mum and dad, again, it's back to more restrictions, but they've adapted, all things considered. They've rolled with it and adapted as best they can. So it hasn't been as severe in Hong Kong, I guess, so we should think ourselves lucky.
We are compared to what's going on in Europe. Oh my goodness. Italy, oh gosh. Goodness, we are lucky.
Oh, I know.
Better stay where we are.
You're right. So we'll all be here for Christmas.
Exactly. What is the first thing that you will do when COVID is over?
First thing I'll do, I don't know, go to the cinema, not wear a mask. That's the first, not the cinema, although I love the cinema. Not wear a mask, because there's been, I don't know about you, there's a few times I've left the flat, been halfway down the street and realised I'm not wearing it, and like turn back. Not too often, because part of me thinks, oh yeah, you know, we're in the habit now of wearing masks. It's second nature, but it's not really. So I think as soon as it's safer now, we'll ditch the mask. I think.
There is one thing though. When you walk down your building, when you walk out of the door, you take the lift back, right?
Yeah. Yes. You're in a walk up.
Yes. 4 floors walking up. If I forget something.
If I was you, I'd maybe go buy one in 7-Eleven if you can, or Watson's.
Right, no, that's not a bad idea. But they're like, yeah, just.
I know. Or where's the nearest, you know, mask shop? But you're right. I think, yeah, probably not wearing a mask. That would.
Yeah.
Although that said, actually, another thing, I know we're back to what was different with COVID, is I've not really been to the doctor this year with the usual, you know, upper respiratory tract infection. Always get colds at least 3-4 times a year. None of that, because obviously we're wearing masks and we're protected. So I guess I've been healthier this year too, because of it. So maybe I should keep wearing masks, although I probably won't. I probably won't do that. Nah, get rid of it. I won't wear masks, I don't think. Yeah.
Even though maybe in public transportation, when it's like flu season and everybody like is so, like everything is so packed and everybody's next to one another, I wouldn't mind wearing that. Like now it became sort of acceptable. I don't think if one wears a mask will be. Plus, I don't care.
No, I agree, because I used to before all this. Again, you know, people in Hong Kong would wear a mask if they were sick. Bit much.
Yeah.
But nope. I can see the benefit.
Sure.
Less, you know, illnesses. So yeah. How about you? What would be the first thing you do when COVID-19 is?
Traveling.
Yes.
And get rid of the mask as well.
Yeah, traveling for sure. Yeah. We can sort of just plan trips without. Although hopefully flights won't be way more expensive than usual.
It's not going to be a pretty 5 years, the ones coming up. But we'll have to do with what we have.
Yeah.
So to wrap it up, let me ask you a couple of things.
Sure.
Do you have a favorite playwright or play?
Let me think. I think Rona Munro, she's a Scottish playwright. She's one of my favourites, and she wrote a play called Iron. And again, which I directed in Hong Kong. I came across it in London, so I love that play. And it's one of the few plays I've just read in one go. So that's always a sign of something good, something special. So I think Rona Munro and Iron are certainly up there. I like Doubt as well. That's another one of my favourites. It's just so well written. So those two stand out from memory.
Nice.
I like David Mamet, actually.
You like David Mamet?
I do. I like Glengarry Glen Ross. So I know you've done that. I've never done that play, but I think it's a really good one.
I've done Glengarry Glen Ross and Romance as well.
And Race is another good play by Mamet.
Oh, that's such a good play.
It is.
Love it.
I don't know if anyone's done it here, but
no, they haven't.
Very good.
Amazing.
There's so many great plays, but those are the ones that spring to mind. After we finish talking, I'll remember about 10 more. I'll WhatsApp you. Oh, I like this too.
Please do. So David Mamet will be like up there in the top 3.
Yeah, top 2. I think so. And Shakespeare. Love Shakespeare. As well, but there's so many good plays.
You've done. I remember you've done the Scottish play.
Yes, that's right. About 5 years ago, we did that. And I adapted it. You know, cut it down a bit and changed it around a bit. Which I really enjoyed working on. That one, as well. And also, Glorious was another play I did, which is a comedy about the terrible opera singer Florence Foster Jenkins. So that was also great fun to do. It's good to mix it up, because I tend to do darker drama, more serious, which I love, or crime related. But it's also nice to do something different. To do a comedy or do a musical, and also adaptation, because a couple of years ago I adapted A Christmas Carol, which was again my first, I guess, foray into writing. I also enjoy adapting as well, adaptation.
Yeah, that's fun. Adaptations are fun. Yes,
they are. They really are. Yeah.
And among all the work that you've done as a director, as an actor, as a producer, as a playwright, which one is your number one work? Is the one that you are the most proud of?
Let's think. Again, I'd probably say Iron. Yeah, because I think I say, having read the play in London and sort of visualized, actually there's another one, but Iron is certainly up there. Great writing, and also the everybody who was involved in it. And the other one, there's another play, The Elephant Song.
Yes.
Yeah, again, that was a play I did. I was doing my master's in directing in London at Mountview. That was about 5 years ago I was there. And again, that's the play I directed for my showcase. And then I did the play in Hong Kong and brought one of the actors over from London. So that was a really good experience as well. So I'd say those two are certainly up there. I love all the projects I do. It's true. I do, but they're all very different.
You love them all.
I know, I do. I love them all. But these two in particular stand out as just really, really good plays, great cast, crew. Yeah, I really enjoyed those.
Nice. I watched them both.
Yes, thank you very much.
Good writing, good acting, directing. So
there is. And you know what? I've just remembered another one. You asked me for one. The other one we did a couple of years ago, I think. It was a play written by a good friend of mine, Michael Sharman, and directed by my wife, Jacqueline. Lions, Typhoons, and Judy, oh my.
Yes.
About Judy Garland. That's another one. At the time Judy Garland came to Hong Kong in the 60s. So Michael wrote a script all about that. And I got to play Judy Garland, which was great fun and a great challenge. So yeah.
No, that was such a great idea, especially like for Hong Kong. It was perfect.
Yes, because she had been here. So it had, real interest for people in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So that was a good project. Yeah.
Yeah. That was fun.
But they all are.
Yes. We love them all. Don't we?
We do. We love them all, darling. We do them all again, darling. Well, we can't now. We just have to remember them and hope we can get on stage again.
Yeah, well, because if you do a rerun, it's not. I've done reruns. It's not the same.
Yes, it isn't.
Oh,
I've done a couple. Elephant Song, I guess, was a rerun from London, then Hong Kong, and then I did rerun. What was it? Doubt. Did that twice, and Venus and Fur. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I pretty much saw everything except for Doubt, unfortunately, which is one of my favorites. But I didn't get that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. And again, Venus and Fur. That was did it twice. And yeah, I must admit, doing it again, though, actually I found different things in it. I really enjoyed doing it again, because you can find different things in the script and approach it differently if you don't think you're just repeating what you've done before.
I actually watched it twice. The first time that I watched it, I believe that I might have the script somewhere. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's a great script.
Yeah. I watched it in Broadway the first time.
It was Nina Arianda. I think, was that the actress who played it?
That's right. Yes.
I think she won a Tony Award.
She did. Yes.
Yeah. I imagine she would have been brilliant.
She was. Everybody was. It was absolutely great. I think.
It's just. Yeah.
Where was I there? Did you do it? Which year did you do it? Do you remember?
Gosh, wait a minute. I think it was about 5 years ago, something like that. Well, when was it on Broadway? When did you see it? Actually, maybe longer. You know what? Maybe it's a bit longer. About 5 or 6 years ago, something like that.
Sounds about right. I think I put it in 2012.
Okay. Yeah.
So
it came. So I did it a few years after that. And it went down really well in Hong Kong. I'm sure it went. Yeah. It's that kind of subject matter as well. And the poster having, actress in fishnets, And the whole subject matter is about S&M, isn't it? So I mean, people are always
You got a
quite
beautiful
titillated.
girl with a beautiful pair of legs. That's it.
That's it. That's what drew them in. But no, I enjoyed. Yeah, that's another one I enjoyed.
Yeah, that's such a great script. Such
and
fun.
it is. And also, I do, as well as doing work under my own company, it is also nice to work with other people too.
Yeah.
So the project we did last year was Secret Theatre.
Oh yes, of course, yes.
So that was
with that one.
So I say that again.
You guys were busy with that one. How long did it go on for?
It was, gosh, hang on, it was 3 months or just under. September to November last year. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That was a collaboration. So I co-directed, cast it, and I acted in some of the performances, but not too many. But again, it was a whole different experience because it's site-specific theatre, and to work in Tai Kwun, which is a really lovely venue in Hong Kong, was great fun. And to just do a longer run. Yes. We always talk about short runs in Hong Kong, but this was 3 months, more or less. So, and it sold out. It was, a big hit. So that was really good to be part of.
That was a lot of fun. And plus, like, you give me the courtroom, got me in right away.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
You don't have to beg me to be there. Is there a courtroom? Right.
I know. And no, it was great fun. And of course, the audience loved it, being part of it as well. Yeah. And literally getting to make the decision as the jury. And, so yeah, that's again, site-specific theatre. I don't know if there could be more of that in Hong Kong, actually, I think, because I think a lot of people really want to see something different.
They were really up for it. Yes.
Yeah, they really are, for a different experience.
Yes.
Other than your traditional sitting in a theatre watching something.
Yes.
So
yeah, and plus Tai Kwun is like still very new. It's like a new venue. So everyone wanted to try it out and see how it was.
Yeah, that's right. And again, for the piece was about a serial killer in prison, so it was perfect to use an old, the old prison and courts for that. So it lended itself really well. So it was that was a good project.
Shame that this year, for obvious reasons, it didn't happen. Hopefully next year.
I know. Yeah, that's right. Well, of course, during the run, there's a lot of protests were going on in Hong Kong.
Gosh, yes.
So we were lucky, and again, fortunate. We had a lot of shows that only a couple were affected by the protests. So again, we were fortunate. And actually, it didn't put people off coming. Well, we thought it might, but it really didn't. People still came, even though there was tear gas around. They did. So we had quite a determined audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good. Commit.
Yep. They were very committed.
Commitment.
Yes,
I like that.
Brave and committed. Maybe they should have been committed. But
you just made me think that we've done, like, you and other groups out there done so much good theatre.
Yeah.
Gosh, now I want to go to the theatre.
I know. Do you miss it?
Actually, I do have a ticket for the Nutcracker on the 18th.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to go and watch?
I don't think. I think I read something about it today.
Oh, did you?
I think it's cancelled. Unfortunately. I believe they might be doing something. It might be filmed and online. I'm sure I read today it's been cancelled, unfortunately. So I think they'll take it online, or it will be filmed, I believe.
Okay. All right.
So no, unfortunately, I double checked that, but I'm pretty sure that's another casualty of. I'm pretty sure it's not happening.
No, it's like a government venue. It's the cultural center. It's Hong Kong. They're not going to do it.
No, they're not. But I don't know if they can still use the venue to film it. I'm not sure. But
yeah, I don't want to see Clara and Rosselmeyer wearing a mask.
No, it's not the same, is it? It's not the same. So unfortunately, no.
Boy, that's tough.
I know. Hopefully it'll be back next year.
Yes,
So,
hopefully.
yeah,
All
fingers
right.
crossed.
Well, on this note,
And that happy
crossed.
note.
Well, on a happy note, COVID and Cigarettes, Joe's
Yes.
Hong Kong by Candice Moore. If you haven't watched it yet, make sure that you catch it together with all the other 12 plays, which are pretty awesome. So you should definitely watch them. We're on for another 3 weeks. We're on until January the 7th, 11:59 p.m. Hong Kong time. So plenty of time to catch it.
Great.
Candice, thank you so much for the time and for being here with us today. It's been awesome
Great.
chatting with you.
Yeah.
So, thank you again, and
Thank you.
see you very soon.
See you soon, Nicole. Thanks very much. Loved it.
Thank you.